Homelessness is a national crisis, and many communities are not sure what to do or how to handle the growing number of people who have lost their homes due to rising costs or a loss of a job. And yes, there are drug addictions and mental health issues in the mix. There's a new film coming called No Address, which brings us the truest first look at this crisis, which cannot be ignored. To talk about this upcoming film and national crisis is our special guest today, actress Patricia Velasquez, and an award-winning actress, activist, and model. Born into poverty in Venezuela, she shot to critical acclaim with starring roles in The Mummy, The Mummy Returns, and the Warner Brothers thriller, The Curse of La Cha-orona, as well as memorable appearances in hit shows like Arrested Development and many others. But she founded the Wayalúu Tayá Foundation in 2002, a nonprofit that provides humanitarian aid to people throughout Latin America. And again, Patricia's humanitarian efforts have led her to a starring role in New Address, a film focused on the homelessness epidemic, expected to be released in the winter of 2023. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome the multi-talented actress, model, and activist, Patricia Velasquez, to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Wow.
Well, you're very, very welcome. And I had to cut it down because you have quite the resume, I will say that. So, but again, it's great to have you on the program.
No, it's wonderful. And thank you so much for taking an interest in talking about this really very important film. I mean, I feel that it's not just going to be a film that we're going to enjoy because it is a great script. It's fantastic actors. It was incredibly well done. But it also addresses this very important issue, which is the reason why we all wanted to participate in the film to begin with.
You know, Patricia, the talk of homelessness across the nation is becoming a news that is daily. We can literally read about it. If it's not just San Francisco or Portland, other New York, other cities across the nation, everybody is dealing with homelessness on a different scale. With the film No Address, can you give us some background about the film and its premise?
Yes, I mean the film follows four homeless people that were actually inspired in some true characters that Robert and the whole team of Robert Craig Films and also with Julia, they have got to know in some of the trip that they did before the film in this wonderful documentary. It's not 100%, but it's inspired on these characters. And, you know, it's just a really, really wonderful story about homelessness that is going to resonate. I play Gabrielle, who's this woman who's a very spiritual woman who works at the church and dedicates her life to help other people and especially the homeless. I think it's like any other wonderful movie that is going to stay in your heart, that you're really going to enjoy the story, but you're going to walk away with a different outcome and a different way of point of view on how to look at the homeless. You know, I live in Los Angeles, and now addressing your question, I live in LA, and as we know, California, this issue is right outside of your door, but all over the country, you know, this is an issue that we almost don't want to look at because you know we all have so many problems at home that we've learned to live with it. And if there is one thing that I can feel that we will walk away from the film thinking is to start seeing homeless as people like you and I, or you who are, you know, listening and watching to this conversation and understanding that this is something that can affect any one of us, and they're human beings, and they need to be helped.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, just the other day, I saw the news item about this 2 mile, I guess you'd call it a 2 mile parking lot of of homeless people. But ladies and gentlemen, the idea of homelessness has taken on a whole new picture. We always thought of people living under cardboard boxes and shopping carts and dark alleys, but now people are living in used motorhomes, living on the side of the road, going from parking lot to parking lot because they can no longer live in the city and town that they grew up in. They had now our homelessness is not just what we always thought it is. And Patricia, does the film No Address kind of touch base with some of that? Because I know that this film is actually was filmed in Sacramento, California.
Yes, yes, yeah. I have to tell you, I learned so much about this issue when we were shooting the film, and unfortunately, this is an issue that is so much in front of you that you don't even have to do that much research in order to really find out how to get inspired to be and play these characters. In Sacramento, and kudos to Robert for really taking an interest on doing this. Sacramento has become the place of the biggest growth in terms of percentage of homelessness in the United States. I think he grew something like 67% last year, and he has the longest encampment of homeless in the United States. It's over 5 miles. But every city has its own issues, and even some cities, the issues are more. It might be more mental health. It might be more addiction. So every city has its groups, and you understand why there are more RVs. Like for example, they are in Sacramento. So I think, and going back to what we said before, if we can just contribute by doing this film into making you see that they are human beings, that this is something that can happen to any of us, then that will mean that we have done the job.
And I completely agree with you on that. Now, when you took the role of Gabrielle, what drew you to that particular role?
Well, I love Julia Verdin, our director and writer and producer of the film. I have just finished a movie with her, a wonderful film that we'll see also very soon, named Maya, that deals with human trafficking. So she had kind of mentioned that she was going to do that film afterwards, but never in a million years I thought that she would call me for it. And then suddenly I just got a call from her and says, "Hey, it's a film, and this is," and of course, right away. I mean, this is right all around us. So I read the script. I loved the script, and said, "Okay, I'm in." And long story, I went up to Sacramento and had an amazing time. So, I mean, all the other actors in the film are wonderful, well known actors. So, it was a good bunch of people in a very rainy Sacramento that actually help the film. It makes it much more real.
Patricia, I understand that 63% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck. And this is not an isolated problem, but is the majority of our population now at risk of becoming homeless?
Yes, yes. I think so many different aspects that are affecting the population. And by asking this question, I think you're addressing something very important, which is there are human beings. These were people. Sometimes when we think of homeless, we think only on, oh, mental health or addiction. But there are a lot of homeless that are, for example, women that have been abused, just people that just fell into not being able to provide for themselves and see other nothing but them going out on the street and living on the street. So I get, I think then we go to the next step, which is, well, what can we do about it? Many institutions in different parts of the government are doing different things. There are many organizations that are also doing the work, and there is money out there to help. It's not like no one's not doing anything about it. I think we as individuals, if we work together and each of us does a little something, we are really going to start seeing the difference. The first part is by seeing and understanding that they're only human beings. And the second part is, and it's got a two parts. So the second part is, if you want to really help, then okay, yes, you can give money, fine, great, but find an organization. Go do something. Just one time. Go to a soup kitchen and volunteer, just for one time, and then it's going to really start changing the perception of how we look at homelessness. And then the second thing is we are going to start seeing a difference in this problem. We
Yeah, and
really, there is a solution.
there is, and I think, and you said some things because of the fact that yes, there's no shortage of money. I think the problem becomes is the application
Exactly.
of where to use the funds or how to use them correctly and actually make a difference. You know,
Yeah.
you, myself, everyone across the nation is seeing this problem just continue to grow and grow and grow, and everybody's scratching their head like, isn't anybody going to do anything about it? But I think the level of homelessness is there's different levels. I mean, I was stunned to hear that a lot of people that have RVs that are
Yes.
considered homeless, they have the RV, but they still have a job. They just
Yeah.
can't afford the high
Hmm.
cost of rent of an apartment or to even afford to buy their own home anymore, or they had to foreclose on their home and had to find a used RV to live in, moving from one side of the road to the other or one parking lot to the other every single day. They're
Hmm.
now classified as homeless, even though they're
Yes.
living in an RV. And
Yes.
you're right, the definition is completely different, but I think we're lacking in some form of application to
Yes.
literally make this huge difference. But you're right, there's no shortage of money, there's no shortage of people. But yeah, we all need to volunteer so we can see firsthand. Now, when you uh, prepared for this role as Gabrielle, did you go visit the homeless personally to kind of get a better
Yeah.
sense of how to have your character bring out the best of what you're wanting to portray?
Yes, of course. I mean, the parts of the films, the part that I love about preparing for a film in general is the research part. That's my favorite by far. But this is one where you didn't have to do too much research because it's right there. So yes, and on a regular basis, I also do volunteering in soup kitchens, and it's something that we do very much as a family. So yeah, the research was there. In reference to what you were saying before, we have three elements, right? When we talk about, so people, they're funding but it's the working together that is missing in some areas, because there, when you think of homelessness, there might just be housing, or there might just be drug counseling, or there might be mental health. You see, so it's not going to be solved until those three elements are together. And that is the key. And that's why, even for us, individuals that are just wanting to do some volunteering, we will start seeing that. And the more we volunteer, the more we are going to then come up with new solutions. But definitely, those three elements are the ones that have to be together in order to start seeing a real difference.
And I agree with that. Now, with your own foundation, and you've been providing humanitarian aid to Latin America for over 20 years now. By doing that, did that really help you to prepare for this role? Not knowing that the
Yeah.
role was coming 20 years down the road, but that kind of already set you up in a perfect position.
Yes. I mean, look, even working with my foundation, we started over 20 years ago, helping my country of Venezuela with a little preschool that then grew to thousands of children in different schools, and now with sending humanitarian aid into the country for thousands and thousands of people. And when Julia called to do the first film about Maya that deals with human trafficking, that's something we deal with the foundation, because we lose through the refugee crisis that we have in Venezuela, which is now bigger than Ukraine in Syria. Over 7.2 million people have fled the country. So it's of course, human trafficking and slavery is it's a very big issue. And when she called to talk about and be a part of the homelessness, I mean, this is something we deal with in the foundation every day. Though I do have to tell you that culturally, there aren't that many Hispanic people homeless, and that is cultural. Hispanic people don't. When you look around, how many Hispanic homeless you see You don't see too many. But it doesn't take away the fact that we should care. And it doesn't take away the fact that we should help and do what we can. And if anything is, I as a foreigner, even though I'm also an American, I am so incredibly grateful to be in this country. I've been, left Venezuela over 30 years ago, and this country has been incredibly generous with me. I have been able to work tremendously. And also the foundation, the Wayalúu Tayá Foundation, we have received so much help from the United States. And I do also have to say that there is an element of generosity in the United States that you grow up with it since you're I see it with my daughter. Since you're little, you because you do have a system that somehow works. So you are being taught since you're little that you have to share and you have to give. And that is something that it makes me want to use my art and everything I can to then give back to this country and to try and continue and help the society to continue to be the great society that it is, and to make it even better in the midst of all these problems.
Well, Patricia, I have to say you are an absolute perfect role model of
Oh,
what a citizen should be of any country, and I applaud you for that. And you brought something up that
mhm,
we need to address because a lot of people are not thinking about this. When we think of homelessness, we
mhm.
think of adults, but we never think of the children. What have you
Yeah.
seen in the areas of homelessness when it comes to the children? And are they even getting an education? I mean, are they just basically living in a tent on a sidewalk?
Well, this is such a good question. Normally, in the United States, the system doesn't allow you to have children in the streets, right? Because they will be taken to social services. And that is a lot, and this is a very good point. That's one of the bigger reasons why we see a lot of women, that have been abused. They stay in that system of being abused because they're afraid to go out on the streets and have the kids being taken away from them. But there are plenty of families, and I don't have the exact number, so I'm not going to tell you the exact number because I don't know that. I'm not going to try to guess. But there are many, many families and children that are living in the streets, especially families, and they try to hide the kids, so they're not taken away from them. Many minors, and whether a lot of LGBTQ plus kids that are being bullied or have gone out to the streets. So it is a big problem. And again, we just have to continue doing what we can in providing a little bit of health to all of them.
Yeah, amen to that. And I've always kind of wondered, I never put two and two together when it came to the children that, of course, social services and child protective services. So we don't see a lot of those kids. Of course, now with I guess we would call it the RV homeless brigade in a way. I'm sure that there are children living there with their parents under unfortunate circumstances. But for you, what do you hope that the film No Address will achieve in terms of how this film will give back to the communities?
I think the most important is, yes, we I would like for you as an individual who watches the film to understand that a homeless person, it's a human being. And that's number one, because we have learned to live with this problem that is out there and we don't want to look at it. And you are going to watch a movie that you're going to love. And then also to be able to see the solutions materialized. If our film and our documentary, and also now that Robert Craig's films, they're going to donate $1 million plus 50% of the net profits on different organizations that deal with homelessness. This was announced today. I mean, then that means we're doing the job. So that's what I would love to see the situation getting better. And it's not going to get better even if we have the money, and it's not going to get better until we as individuals start it start looking at it from a more compassionate point of view.
Well, has the film been completed?
Yes, the film finished. We just finished not even that long ago, a few weeks ago. So hopefully, I'm not sure when it's going to be in the theaters, but trust me, they're working very fast.
Well, how can all of my viewers and listeners get involved with the No Address film?
Well, you can go to, I don't know the exact, I think it's noaddress.com or noaddressfilm.com. But if you put no address film, I'm sure it'll show up in your browser. And then just stay tuned, watch the film, support the film, spread the word, and most importantly, go out, volunteer, go to your organization, and I promise you, it's going to change your life.
And I believe that it will. And Patricia, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time and honoring us with your presence and very valuable information on the homelessness crisis that is hitting our nation from coast to coast. And ladies and gentlemen, look, for more information on this film and how to get involved, partner up with the production. So go to noaddressmovie.com. So No Address, this is a film that shares the story of a group of individuals experiencing homelessness. Their touching storylines were pulled from the countless hours spent by the producers visiting shelters, missions, and organizations that are on the front lines of providing services and solutions to this national crisis. So again, go to noaddressmovie.com. And again, Patricia, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insight, the movie, and your own humanitarian efforts that you do on your own.
No, thank you so much for giving us this platform to be able to talk about it, and thank you.
Well, my pleasure and my honor. And ladies and gentlemen, again, go to noaddressmovie.com. Get ready for the film that's coming out later this year. But if you just go to that website, if you can partner up and get involved, please do it. All of us
Yes.
working together, we can really bring a solution to the homelessness problem in our nation. I'll see you
Yes.
next time.